part of the forest that it makes no difference. So the spontaneous experience, when you get into the forest deeper and deeper, you have this feeling of being deep in the forest. And if you then hit the road, this completely disappear. And then people say, well, that's your imagination. You see the heart, there's no heart here. But if you start this way and saying there's no heart, it's just at certain distances, you get into a worldview which resembles that of Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, where you end up saying that nature is without colors, even without shapes, and even without cause and effect, because relation of cause and effect is something created by humans. So there's nothing there. In short, there is nothing in nature in itself. You have no access to nature in itself. You see, you end up in complete nonsense. And that's what many people do who are in philosophy. Even in contemporary so-called postmodernism, nature is something, only a limiting thing which you never can really see or appreciate. You appreciate only your own ways of thinking and feeling. And you are completely determined by your culture and so on. So this protection of nature is a sham in a sense that there is something there, but you don't have any access to it. So it's undermining, for some people, the belief in protection of nature as a vast undertaking for the next century.
One of the main messages that the ecological perspective brought to us in the 1960s was that we have to, we see the landscape, the animals, humans, everything as interrelatedness, as interrelated. There's been a tendency in Western culture to see things as isolated entities. You know, this person, this rock, they're all separate. Eastern thought has Zen Buddhism and so on. One of the legacies of Zen Buddhism when it was introduced into America was to see things in terms of process and interrelatedness. So the deep ecology movement is, you can't just focus on protecting the panda or the elephant over here, the Siberian tiger, or this particular type of endangered flower, because the whole thing is interrelated. You have to look at ecosystems, and we're trying to protect ecosystems and landscapes. Arne Naess provides a philosophical basis for that in terms of what he calls gestalt thinking, the gestalt ontology and gestalt perception. Because again, the typical Western reductionist way of looking at things is in terms of isolated entities, the tree, the rock. Gestalt thinking or gestalt perception is a perception that of interrelatedness, where we see, we look at a landscape and we see the tree in relation to the grass, in relation to the animals, and it's a perception of the whole, so to speak.
There's a mountain in southern Norway which has been used as an object for artists to paint. And it's quite clear that many artists or non-artists find that the shape is that of a troll, a big fellow. Trees are the hair, and gestalt thinking is such that this spontaneous perception of a troll is completely on pair, is completely as adequate description of reality as somebody saying it's a heap of stones. And the gestalt, of course, is then not only the shape of a troll, but also the being as a troll, you get then all the mythology about trolls into what you see. What you see is tremendously complex, culturally complex thing. When I talk about so much about gestalt, it's because I have this opinion that science, and I think especially about natural science, only assert something about the abstract relations in reality, not about the content of reality. The content of reality you get directly through a spontaneous experience. Well, children are more spontaneous in the sense that reflection and conventional views of things do not yet play such an enormous role. So if we could be able to see a little more like children, we would gain very much, but that's a very difficult redevelopment to get into this state of children's inner life. I try to get the water from the top of the mountain, disappearing there, and then you have a source.